All right, today we're going to dive into a really fascinating book called Unstoppable by A. Lewis Malero. And it's all built around this one simple but honestly game changing idea. What if real change didn't have to be a struggle? What if it could just happen?
Okay, so right off the bat, let's get one thing straight. This is not another self-help book about how to fix yourself or become a better person. It's actually an invitation to look in a totally different direction, to see how our experience of life is being created moment by moment from the inside. And that really brings us to the core question here, and it's a big one. I mean, we're taught our whole lives that change is hard, right? It takes willpower, discipline, this constant battle with ourselves. But what if that's all wrong? What if the most profound, lasting change could actually be effortless? Now, to really get this idea of effortless change, we have to start where the author himself started. And here's the irony. For a book that would eventually be called Unstoppable, he was completely and utterly stopped, paralyzed. For over a year, he couldn't write a single word. So why was he so stuck? Well, he was just trapped in his own head. You know that feeling? His mind was just spinning, comparing his idea to all the great writers that came before him, and he just felt like, how can I possibly add anything new? It's a feeling I think we can all relate to, being so caught up in our own thinking that we can't even start. So what happened? What broke the spell? This is where the story gets really interesting. The breakthrough didn't come from more thinking. It came from a completely unexpected and frankly terrifying experience in a sauna. So, picture this. Malero's in the sauna, and his mind starts telling him this scary story about how the heat is dangerous for his heart. The story feels so incredibly real that he starts to panic. Full-on panic attack. He scrambles for the door to escape, but in his fear, he's pushing when he should be pulling. Now he feels trapped. He's convinced he's about to die. And then, just like that, the panic disappears. It just vanishes. And he sees with perfect clarity, the room wasn't the problem. His thinking about the room was the problem. And this became this huge metaphor for him. He realized that's what we do in life all the time. Just like with that sauna door, we fight against our own experience. We push against our thoughts, we push against our feelings, and that struggle is exactly what makes them feel so solid and so real. So often, we're just pushing in the wrong direction. But you know, having an insight like that is one thing. How do you actually live from that place, especially when life gets really, really messy? Well, for Melero, the answer, weirdly enough, came from experiencing intense emotional pain. He was going through a painful family separation, and his mind just created this absolute catastrophe. It was spinning all these horrible stories about loss and being forgotten. The suffering he felt from believing those thoughts became so huge that it forced him to see the difference, the gap between the horrifying drama in his head and the simple, quiet truth underneath it all, that love isn't really about distance. And this is the perfect illustration of the whole idea. The moment he truly saw that the pain was coming from believing his own scary thoughts, the need to numb that pain, it just fell away. He stopped drinking heavily, not through willpower, not through some grueling program, but just because the impulse was gone. It was totally effortless. So this realization didn't just change his personal life, it completely transformed his writing process. He went from being that blocked author trying to control every little thing to basically becoming a channel for the story to come through. This is just such a cool shift in perspective. He stopped interfering. He stopped trying to force the words and just allowed the book to show up. He said he felt like he was the book's very first reader, just watching with curiosity as it all unfolded. He finally just got out of his own way. So why do we resist something so simple? Malero points to this really interesting concept from Zen Buddhism called namadu. Think of it like all the conceptual baggage we carry around, all the complex ideas and theories and big words we've collected over the years from seeking answers. We get so attached to all that stuff, to all our knowledge, that we're afraid to just put it down and see something simple and true. And this brings us to what might be the most powerful and simple metaphor in the entire book, a way to understand our whole experience of life. Just think about it. Our anxieties, our worries, all our personal dramas, they can feel as real and intense as a horror movie, right? But this understanding is like having someone gently lean over and whisper in your ear, hey, it's just a movie. The feelings you have are real, absolutely, but you're not the character on the screen. It's just thought passing through. And here is the absolute key.
You can't fix a scary movie by adding more scenes or analyzing the plot. That's just more movie. In the exact same way, we can't think our way out of a problem that was created by our thinking in the first place. Freedom only comes when we see the movie for what it is, just a temporary, passing show.
So if all our fears and dramas are just the movie, then what's real? What's left over when the movie ends? What Malero suggests is that underneath all that noise and all those stories, there's something fundamental. And that's love, compassion, that feeling of connection. It's not part of the film, it's the very screen that the film is being projected on.
And that leaves us with one final question to just sit with. Right now, in your own life, what movie is playing? What story feels so incredibly real, so all-consuming? And what might change if you could just see, for a fleeting moment, that you are the one watching it and not the one trapped inside of it?